right, scholars, good morning. All right, so we have activity for processing 2.7, which be a great opportunity to get you ready to approach cool down 2.7. You're gonna notice today, we're gonna have 3 examples that obviously I encourage you to write down in your notebook as we move along. But you're gonna notice those 3 questions that I ask for the 3 examples today are gonna be closely replicating what you see on the cool down, but you're gonna notice today I'm gonna phrase them differently to expose you to different vocabulary and different ways in which this question may be presented. But before I begin anything, I just wanna let you know that all the questions are asking the same thing, okay? All right, so this cool down here, what it wants us to do is write an equation for a polynomial whose graph has specific horizontal intercepts. Now, we've seen that horizontal intercepts are also called x-intercepts. They're called zeros. They're called roots. And the cool down doesn't ask you to draw a graph, but I'd like to just kind of take this moment to remind you that these are your zeros here, 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 and here, okay? Just a reminder that these words all refer to these points on the x-axis. We can even call them x-axis intercepts if we really want to. I don't think I've heard this used, but if it was used, I wouldn't be confused, right? I think these are the ones that people most use. 0, okay? But this is acceptable, and this wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Example 1. So in your notebook, you can title this activity for processing 2.7, or I heard some of you were just calling it video 7, which is fine. Okay, so example 1. So let's create an equation for a graph who has the following x-intercepts. Okay, you see how I'm phrasing the question differently to expose you to different vocabulary. And I am also going to write the x-intercepts in xy coordinate pair format. You're not going to see it like this on the cool down, but it's essentially asking the same thing. I just want to present this idea to you to take advantage of this moment to solidify some vocabulary and conceptual ideas. So if you were to put this into decimals, graphing calculator, which I haven't shied away from, it's one of my favorite apps, you will see 3 points. And once again, this has everything to do with the graph, but it won't be assessed on the cooldown. But I just have to take this moment to mention it. Okay, what the graph looks like, that will be discussed in lesson 10, but more on that some other time. But this is what I want you to focus on, is the x-intercepts. 1, 2, 3, there they are. Now we're going to create an equation for this, and that's kind of the thing that wants to be assessed on the cooldown there. So the equation, I can write it down as y equals, and then since we have 3 points, we're going to have 3 quantities in which these points are expressed. And this can be done by switching the sign of the x value. I'm going to underline the x value to remind my students that the x-intercepts have an x value when y equals 0. So right here, y equals 0, y equals 0, and right here, y equals 0. X-intercepts, once again, I'm going to repeat that, occur when y equals 0. But for the sake of the equation, I'll explain when y equals 0 here. We're going to continue just cleaning the signs up by switching them here, here, here. So you see negative became positive 1, positive 2 became negative 2, and positive 4 became negative 4. Now, why are they called zeros? We kind of touched on that, but now I'd like to take this opportunity to do that. So let's say we actually substituted the value -1 in here. Okay, so I'm going to ignore this for now. Okay, so y equals x plus 1, and let me take this -1, plug it in. -1 plus 1, y equals 0. Hurrah, there it is. There it is. All right, let me try the same for this one. Y equals x minus 2. I'm going to plug in this 2 in here. Y equals 0 once again. It worked there. So the last one here, we have 4. Oh, sorry. X minus 4 equals y. I'm going to write that here. Sorry about that. Script I heard. Let me slow down. Sorry. So we have minus 4. We substituted that 4 right here. And we got 0. Boom. Y equals 0. Y equals 0. Y equals 0. When we substitute this x value into the parentheses. I'll just do it here. Okay. So on the actual cooldown, the main focus is creating the equation. What I'm taking the liberty of doing here is explaining why this is the case. Why is this the equation, right? Not just a trick, not just turning in some work, but rather the thinking behind it. All right, so go ahead, skip a line or 2, and let's get started with example 2. So as soon as I write the question, you can pause it afterward and see if you can do it on your own. All right, so example 2, we have a graph who touches the horizontal axis. So now I'm going to phrase it like this. Crosses horizontal axis at, I'm going to use the ampersand, -1, 2, and 4. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to the equation here. This time I'm going to write it with f of x. So you notice in example 1, I wrote it down as y equals bop, bop, bop. This time I'm going to write it down as f of x equals bop, bop, bop. Okay, so just switch the sign. There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. -1 became +1, +2 became -2, +4 became -4. And ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully created an equation in which the graph, if we were to put this into decimals, would cross the horizontal axis at the x values -1, 2, and 4. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mentally run this through you. Well, no, might as well write it down. So let's go ahead and substitute. -1 plus 1. That's 0. Okay, cool. That works. 2 minus 2. That's 0. That works. So now you notice I'm not putting y equals. I'm showing it a different way. Kind of like some mental math there. 4 minus 4. That's 0. Okay. So there we go. We have just created 3 successful zeros using the question. So if you pause the video, this is the equation you just created. You're in great shape. Let me scoot it over just a bit. Sorry about that. Boom. There we go. Goofysaurus Rex over here. Okay. Now we're going to hop into example 3, our final example. Okay, so now we have points. We have x values on the horizontal axis. Of 0, -1, and 100. The reason I like this problem is it's gonna bring some spiciness up. So definitely pause this video. This is definitely spicy because of that 0. It's gonna make your equation look a little bit different because it has to be simplified. So right now, definitely pause it if you want to challenge yourself. All right, here we go. So I'm going to switch the sign, quote unquote, on the 0. We know 0 doesn't have the sign because it's a neutral value. So you can put x minus 0, or you can put x plus 0. I'm a positive type of dude, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch the sign on -1. And I'm going to switch the sign on positive 100 to negative 100. There you go. We're done. Or so we thought. This needs to be simplified here. This is going to be really important for some future lessons. I won't talk about that right now. But just remember that x can be rewritten as x plus 0. This is really key for a long time from now. But just put this in the back of your brain. Like, there you go. Just leave it there. You don't know what it's for yet, but just leave it there. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and run my mental notes. All right, let me check. Let me make sure that when I substitute this value to this, okay, so I'm going to substitute 0. Oh, that one's already done. All right, now I'm going to substitute -1 into the second quantity, x plus 1. -1 plus 1, 0. That works. I'm going to substitute 100 minus 100. Boom, that works too. All right, so pretty straightforward, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just run you through the steps one more time, okay? So the question is going to give you 3 x values, 3 x-intercepts, or 3 horizontal intercepts, whatever it says. Then all you need to do in order to create the equation is switch the sign of the given values, and voila, you have your equation. Afterward, I strongly suggest that you check that your answer works. You can do it really quick. So plug in the value. So we have 0 plus 0, 0. That worked. Now go to your second one. -1 plus 1. Right there. That works. Good. I'm plugging the last one into this. Or this, whatever. Doesn't matter. And there it goes. It works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Good luck and have fun with that cooldown.